I pray. I pray for the weary ones who come here, for the one who has suddenly lost their work and feels cast aside, for the young person who longs to keep studying but has been stopped by the closed road, for my husband who went ahead, for my daughter, and on some days for myself. When I pray, I come to realize something. I have never once worked alone. He has always been beside me. I simply did not know it.
On a mountainside in Yangpyeong, the House of Adullam stands as a sanctuary for those navigating the vast sea of God's mission. Here, each day begins with prayer.
I am the keeper of this little house. It is a roadside inn where a traveler stops to eat, rest a while, and set out again. I am the keeper of that inn. My children are grown now, and I half jokingly say that I have entered the monastic life here. Every morning I sweep, I clean, I light the fire. They say monks sweep a country yard that is already clean, and that the sweeping itself is a practice. I pray that caring for this house might also become a practice for me.
The name of this house comes from a cave. When David was hunted and had nowhere else to turn, he hid in the cave of Adullam. Soon, those in debt and the broken-hearted gathered around him. So this place too is first and foremost a cave. Before doing anything else, it is a place to hide and simply catch one's breath.
These days I woke at 3 in the morning. I thought it was insomnia, but I decided the Lord must be waking me, so I simply sit and pray in silence. This room has thick walls and high ceiling, so its resonance is deep. Yet the best sound here is silence, a stillness in which you cannot even hear a mosquito. In that silence, people sit face to face with the Lord. I call it solitude. 아둘람의 집에 오면 해야 되는 5가지 활동 중에 자연 묵상이라는 것을 권면합니다. 자연 묵상은 다른 게 아니고 자연 속으로 들어가서 하나님의 창조 세계를 통해서 하나님을 만나는 그런 경험을 하라는 그런 마음으로 준비한 거고요. 산을 걷고 숲을 거닐면서 하나님의 창조 세계를 마음껏 누리고 묵상하는 것이 자연 묵상입니다. I tell those who come to climb the mountain and put their arms around the tree, to feel something living with their own hands. Season by season, this mountain speaks better than I do. There are 2 images in this house. One showed a figure standing beside Christ, an image of solitude, of sitting alone before the Lord. The other is an image of a table, which I will speak later. Whether a solitude or to hospitality, the one who leads us is, in the end, God. Hospitality is nothing grand. A warm meal, a single scented candle, a quiet night, such things stays in the heart for a long time.
Yangpyeong, where the House of Adullam stands, lies just beyond Seoul, pressed close against nature. Here, nature does not stay outside the fence. It comes in and becomes a garden.
텃밭에는 제가 온갖 종류의 야채를 기르고 있어요. 환대의 식탁을 위한 반찬 재료를 만드는 곳입니다. 오늘 아침에 제가 고구마 순을 뜯어갖고 고구마 순 오늘 반찬 준비했습니다.
Growth comes from the soil. Where there's no soil, nothing grows. This is not an idea. It is a fact. Anyone who has put their hands in the earth knows it. A garden is a work of tending. In tending it, one learns the posture toward life, first from nature and then toward people. When two things that seemed to have nothing to do with each other are joined, understanding comes from there.
직접 흙과 교감하고 식물과 교감하면서 제가 너무나 많은 걸 배웠어요. 오늘 아침에도 저기 고구마 밭에 있는 벌레를 하나 만났는데 제가 벌레를 죽이지 않았어요. 너 여기 있었구나 하고 다시 다 거두어서 다시 자리에 돌려보냈는데, 이런 식으로 흙과 그리고 이곳에 있는 작은 생명들조차도 교감하고 또 소중하게 생각하는 그런 것들을 제가 이제 배우는 중에 있습니다. 처음에는 제가 이제 비닐을 많이 하다가 지금은 이 자연 그대로의 멀칭을 하면 좋겠다는 또 그런 배움을 제가 딴 데서 얻게 돼 갖고 여기는 이제 잔디 깎은 걸로 이렇게 멀칭을 하는데 매일매일 조금씩 변화하면서 자연과 교감하는 법을 이 텃밭에서 제가 배우는 것 같습니다.
People ask why there is so much digging in this place meant for rest. But this labor is itself the rest. When you put your hands in the soil, you need to do well stop and heart grow quiet.
이거 따면 돼 이제. 너무 신기한 게 이 껍데기가 다 말랐잖아요. 이 껍데기가 말라서 새로운 게 탄생하는 거예요, 완벽하게. 그런데 껍데기가 안 마른 거, 껍데기 안 마른 건 알이 꽉 차지 않았거든요. 그거를 보면 한 세대가 죽어야 새 세대가 나오는 거예요. 자기를 계속 살려놓으면 새로운 세대가 안 나온다는 걸 내가 이걸 보고 깨달았어요.
I want to live simply. I want to use all things until it is worn out. And I want to be used up in that same way and then return to the earth. I hope all that I have will be spent comforting and healing someone.
As spring and summer arrive, people begin to find their way into this space of hospitality that stood quiet through the long winter.
At first, there were only a few people who had watched me from a distance in seminary, who knew a little of my circumstance. Once a missionary from Busan asked, the very first time we met, that we become friends. As a professor, a pastor, and a keeper of this house, I have always felt I must never let my guard down, so I rarely opened my heart. But she said to me, if the Lord gives you a gift of friendship, you only need to receive it. Those words stayed with me a long while.
On a beautiful spring day, this space of quiet solitude is transformed into a wedding hall. The bride and groom were each weary travelers who had arrived here bearing their own wounds.
Restoration enjoyed alone is a quiet thing, but set it on the table and share it with everyone, and it became a feast. Joy does not shrink when it is shared, it grows. The restoration of two became the restoration of us all.
When the feast comes, we taste the fruit. But before a fruit is born, there's a long and difficult season. At the House of Adullam, people pass through that season and come to taste the fruit. This is restoration unmistakably, and the House of Adullam is its soil.
오늘 아둘람의 집에서 새로운 출발을 합니다. 아둘람의 집이란 곳이 과거에 슬픔과 절망을 경험했던 분들이 모여서 저와 같은 그런 사람들이 모여서 각자의 삶이 그 숨결이 공명되는 그런 장소인 것 같아요. 이런 장소에서 새 출발을 하는데 하나님 주시는 사명의 연합, 그것을 느낍니다. 사명의 연합을 이루는, 그리고 그것이 이루어져서 우리가 눈을 목도할 수 있는 그런 장소임을 오늘 저는 새 출발하는 당사자로서 많이 느낍니다.
A winter tree looks dead, but it is not dead. When spring comes, it buds again. The ones who comes here are like that. They arrive with the face of dead wood and return as the trees that are still alive. Everyone has a time when they must stand before the Lord once more as a bare tree.
This long dining table was left behind by the previous owner. It feels as though it was purposely set here for the ministry we would carry out. This table, where 6 to 8 people gather, is the very heart of this house.
A painting hangs on the living room. It shows Jesus seated and eating with the people.
미래의 우리 12 제자가 예수님을 위해서 선교하는 그런 차원으로 마지막 만찬을 대접하는 걸로 그렇게 그렸습니다. 그리고 예수님과 함께 대화를 나누면서 모든 사람들이 안위를 얻고 또 이 그림을 보면서 정말 예수님과 나와의 그 만찬의 시간을 함께 공유하는 그런 마음을 갖고 그렇게 또 위로를 받게 하고 싶어서 그렇게 그렸습니다.
At first, I took it for nothing more than a warm shared meal. But one day, I understood this is a Eucharist. The God who empties himself and gives himself away, that Eucharist, was taken place in this very table. This is why even strangers open their hearts here, and why healings happen.
Peel back the outer shell of the ritual, and hospitality comes into view. The ritual was hospitality all along. And hospitality, as Jesus practiced it, carries the power to heal and to restore. The power now reveals itself at the table.
For more than 20 years, I cooked for my students. Even after they graduated, that was the one thing they remembered. A professor in an apron, cooking them a meal. That memory stays through all 5 senses. Today's table of hospitality came from there. An elder once said to me, the table of hospitality is good, but go on a step further, from the table to the kitchen. Do not only eat together, but prepare the food together. At the table, a guest can simply sit as an equal and eat. But the kitchen is different. When you prepare food together, you bump it against each other. To embrace even that fracture is a true friendship. Moltmann said that friendship needs 2 things, affection and respect. I hope this house is full of that affection, the plain gladness of liking one another. When someone comes alone, keeps solitude, and is restored, before long they become a host who welcomes others. The solitude becomes the hospitality provider. This is whole of what the house does. This house is not a place that simply mend a weary person and end there. It raises that person up as a host and opens a kitchen alongside them. When we sit around the table and listen to one another stories, we see Christ within them, much as the disciples on the road to Emmaus recognized the Lord while they ate. This is why I decided to celebrate Eucharist every week.
Once a month, those gathered here reaffirm their calling and come to realize that they themselves are the ecclesia.
I never intended to start a church, only held a service once a month for those who came. But some kept returning, and one day I found that community has formed. An ecclesia had been born. Here there is a no above and below, teacher and student, pastor and layperson, man and woman, old and young. This quickly became a hierarchy and pushed someone to the margin. I wanted to see a true ecclesia that moves beyond all that. People say it is too idealistic, but here, from a youngest child to the eldest, we are all companions at the same table.
On December 2nd, Elijah's Hill opened its doors. The dedication service was offered not through words, but through the sacred movement of the body.
Elijah's Hill began with a one missionary's gift. Someone I had just met offered 10 million won and told me to use it for an outdoor prayer space. But in the end, the money went elsewhere. Pastor O, worn out after 13 years of planting a church, was short by exactly the same amount when the church had to relocate. The money was meant to go there. Then Pastor O and Deacon Shim built this space with their own hands. He even gave it its name, Elijah's Hill.
Elijah's Hill is where an Elijah meets another Elijah. The widow of Zarephath only prepared the place for that meeting. That is the House of Adullam. Meeting leads to hospitality, and hospitality to restoration. Today, the Elijahs are the pastors serving small churches across Korea, and the missionaries serving unnamed in distant places.
As the angel gave Elijah bread and water under the broom tree, we handed bread and water to one another. As Elijah walked 40 days and nights, we walked the space together. And we sat before the question God put to him, "What are you doing here? Stand before me." The question is the reason of this house exists.
On a winter's day, Elijah's Hill becomes the theological chalet. A chalet is a mountain lodge where travelers reset a while and think.
I have long dreamed of a different kind of theological education. Not handing over the knowledge, but living together. I call it a parentship. I think of Luther's table talk and Lavri's community, the lodge where Barth is said to have done his theology. We sat around the fire with no pulpit and no head of the table, and everyone teaches and everyone learns. In an age that has lost its laughter to be breathless competition, we learn again that life is a festival. In those dark months, when I complained like a Job before my daughter's illness, I met the Lord of companionship while praying in this room, the one who had walked every step of the road with us. What this house gives is not answers, but that companion. Not long ago, my daughter said to me, "Mom, you have learned hard all this time. Now put on wings and fly." These words stayed with me. This house too seems to be preparing to take flight somewhere. I pray for those still out there voicing on with nothing in their hands. And now I know I am not walking alone.
This is not a place to stay. It's a peaceful inn where travelers rest a while, discover God's footprints within their own stories, and set out once more.